Hello, wrestling fans, and welcome to PWR Today. It's the holiday, America, America, America. So, Matthew Thomas, Linda Kay, I got my kids singing that song. They don't know what the next line is, right? They think it's America, oh yeah. I wonder what age they're going to realize I tricked them into singing a song with a bunch of profanity in it.
Someday.
Hopefully when they're old enough to appreciate it.
America. The man that called Meathead, Linda Kay, the lovely Linda Kay, and Matthew Thomas. How you guys doing? Happy America Day.
I am tremendous as always. But another tea. I'm tired, but that's all right.
Yeah, you've been traveling. I know you were down in Louisville. I know the kid with the fanny pack turned 21. You guys were at Louisville. I think Nashville was involved in there somewhere. Matthew, you're up in the mountains, so you're headed for the mountains of Busch Beer, somewhere in Denver, Colorado. You've got the air floating through there. Apparently, I was trying to do all exercising during the worst air quality in the country, in Brookfield, Wisconsin, while, the Canadian wildfires were pushing their way down through America. Do you think that's payback for the loss to the Americans in the World Cup or the Olympics in hockey? Do you think that's what they're doing?
Or a payback in that Canadian-American war that Canada lost.
Really? Is that the one with John Candy?
Yeah, that's right.
I think that was Canadian bacon. But enough about Canada. We still love Canada. I mean, how can you not like Canada? They're so polite, eh? Let's talk about the sponsors. Matthew Thomas, Linda's got it on. I got it on. I get it on because it's just comfortable for me. Linda and Matthew.
Possibly be a line that you haven't seen yet, So maybe I get the collar and elbow prototypes. Now, you can't get the prototypes at collarandelbowbrand.com, but you can get everything that's currently actively available on the collar and elbow catalog at
By the way, can I say this? Money in the Bank was in London, correct? Mm-hmm. Did we see our guy ringside?
Oh, yeah.
He was literally ringside again wearing the collar and elbow gear. So, Matthew, tell us.
Yeah. So, speaking of prototype, John Cena on his social media, he'll just post random things. And there was a shot of the audience while he was at Money in the Bank. And it was a shot with Kerry right there up front wearing the collar and elbow.
John Cena, the prototype, showing off collar and elbow. But, Matthew, you were going to tell us about collar and elbow.
Oh, yeah. That's to resume part 2 on collar and elbow, collarandelbowbrand.com, promo code Linda K, LINDAKAY, saves you 10%.
Yo, I love it when you
of your order, and even patriotic / dream team themed collar and elbow gear available at collarandelbowbrand.com.
And then, Linda, we've got one other friend that we like to talk about here.
Absolutely. That would be prowrestlinginsurance.com. Should always think about having that extra layer of protection if you get hurt, because if you get hurt, having this affordable monthly supplemental coverage as low as $8 a month can help make sure you get a check cut out to you to help pay for those medical bills. If you do get hurt in or outside the ring, whether you're a wrestler, whether you're not, it applies to everybody. But you can find more details on that. Visit our friend Chris at prowrestlinginsurance.com.
And I apologize. Normally on the 4th of July, we're very bright. We're very happy. I don't know what's going on with my lighting. I don't know what's happening with my lighting here, but we will continue on with this week's edition of PWR Today. We've got a couple things. We recorded the Sunday prior to Forbidden Door, so we didn't get the chance to talk about Forbidden Door yet. We're going to get into Forbidden Door right now. But first, let's talk about the PWR Fantasy Draft. There was a quick move. I know that the man they call Meathead dropped a talent and picked up Will Ospreay. Now, that seems funny, right? He's a New Japan talent. Well, Will Ospreay picked up for the team they call Meatheads. Going into the pay-per-view, Linda was with a commanding lead. Let's get to the results of the Forbidden Door. And this was an amazing pay-per-view. Linda, I don't know how you got to see it. I know that you know the results. Did you get to see any of the matches?
For Forbidden Door?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, and what did you think of Forbidden Door?
It was insane. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I mean, yeah, another long pay-per-view, but we had a lot to go through, not just the matches. We had some storytelling. We were in one match last. I'm not sure. I can't think of remember if another match got inserted to replace Adam Cole Bebe's match. But no, that week leading up especially. I know we talked about in that last episode of PWR Today, where we're getting another introduction or a refresher, if you will, on some of the New Japan talents and why it was important that they were there, why they're facing a certain talent from AEW. It got me excited for it, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I mean, those guys, Osprey, Omega, everybody.
Oh yeah.
I definitely did not disappoint. I enjoyed it.
So there was even the buy-in as well, and it was the Mogul Embassy, Swerve Strickland, the Machine Brian Cage, and the Gates of Agony. They took on El Desperado and Chaos, which was Rocky Romero, Trent Beretta, and Chuck Taylor. Amazing matches as well. Also, the Owen Hart Foundation Women's Tournament quarterfinal match, the Fallen Goddess Athena against Billy Starks. Linda Kay, Athena, formerly known as Ember Moon in the WWE. Athena is the Ring of Honor Women's Champion, and she is a nasty heel, and she is just running roughshod over everybody in the division.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's great. I don't recall her being too much on Dynamite or Rampage or Collision as of late, but we know she is the Ring of Honor Women's Champion. We know she is a prominent champion. She's on a lot of the Ring of Honor programming. Another great way to, get her back in there on a lot of eyes, especially in the buy-in. That you didn't have to buy the pay-per-view to see that, so that was great. And hey, she advanced on to that in the tournament.
Matthew Stu Grayson took on El Phantasmo, and again, another great buy-in match. While it makes it very long, the night, especially, if you're in the arena, I do love that the company gets just about everybody out there. Somebody's working a match somewhere. Matthew Thomas, Stu Grayson ends up getting pinned by El Phantasmo.
It's almost like a WrestleMania paycheck on these AEW pay-per-views now. They try to get everybody on.
Absolutely. United Empire, one of my favorite teams. Whoa! United Empire, Kyle Fletcher, Jeff Cobb, and TJP took on, I cannot even pronounce it. It's Los Inhablables de Japón, Bushi, Shingo Takagi, and Takashi. I apologize.
No, I just wanted to say that again.
Yeah, Takahashi. There we go. So this is all on the buy-in, but again, we're getting great matches. The buy-in even had 3 matches, so they give us way more than we pay for, Matthew Thomas.
Yeah, no, you got a full night of wrestling without even buying the pay-per-view,
Right. All right, pay-per-view proper starts off Linda Kay, and it starts off in a very, very big way. The AEW World Champion MJF versus the Ace of the Universe, Hiroshi Tanahashi. That's a name that I've been able to pronounce for a long time. There's word, again, I have to admit, and you guys are probably in the same boat as I am, I haven't seen Tanahashi's work. I haven't, got to watch Tanahashi for the 20 years or so that he's been working. Apparently, the Tanahashi that we're watching is not the version that everybody else knows for the last 20 years, but he's still an amazing talent. MJF retains the AEW championship.
Yeah. And with AEW kind of, giving us a refresher, as I mentioned, leading in, letting us know why New Japan talents are there, why it's important, and also just honestly hearing the crowd. If they're excited for this, so for anybody, it doesn't have to be.
It helps. It helps a lot.
It makes me excited too. Yeah, and obviously with MJF making it off like that's huge and gets everybody excited.
Matthew Thomas, CM Punk took on Kojima in the quarterfinal match of the Owen Hart men's tournament as well. They didn't have a ton of matches. This is the opening match for the men's round, but it's a quarterfinal. So your thoughts on Punk? And he knew and we knew going into it, and we don't need to go too far into it, but this was not Chicago. So he did not receive the reception that he did in Chicago.
No, and quite the opposite. So it's really going to be interesting to see what Punk's reception is when you don't go to these 2 parallel universes, basically Chicago versus Canada. See where it's at, because this was not a pro CM Punk crowd. And honestly, I think that's what can make this Punk run so interesting, is the different receptions in the crowd. Punk with the victory there, but definitely not a Punk crowd.
All right, Linda, the AEW International Championship match. When is he going to lose it? I love my guy, don't get me wrong, but when is he going to lose the belt? Orange Cassidy retains against New Japan Pro Wrestling World TV Champion Zack Sabre Jr., ROH Pure Champion Shibata, and the JAS's Daniel Garcia. They keep throwing everything, Linda, at Orange Cassidy, and Orange Cassidy keeps coming out on the other side with that belt.
Yeah, I think eventually when the titles do change hands with this, it's going to be that nice slow build leading up to it. One-on-one doesn't have to be a four-way match, four-way dance. I think it might even stretch all the way to All In. I think if it hasn't happened yet, this title change, I think it's going to be just a nice slow build and a big reason why everyone's favorite there. You know what I mean? Not AEW,
Right.
you know.
But I mean, he continues to win over and over. The guy's wearing more and more of that black tape on him because he's just been beat up. You know, to Matthew's point, months ago, Orange Cassidy is usually on every Dynamite. Sometimes he's on Rampage, and he shows up on Collision as well. This guy is a workhorse, and I think he's working through injury as well. Matthew, let's move on to the next one. It was the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship match. Sonata, part of the Five Guys. You know, we always talked about how three of us have done Five Guys before. He took on Jungle Boy Jack Perry with the FTW champion Hook at his side. He loses the match, Matthew, but he also loses a friend. Jungle Boy Jack Perry attacks Hook and has gone full heel.
Yeah, and I think this is the right move here. And if I'm not mistaken, Jungle Boy is no more. I believe it's Hollywood Jack Perry now, which I think is nice evolution of that character.
He wore the jacket that his dad had on, and that might have been his dad's jacket for all we know, too.
Yeah, I believe it was. So, this was... I'm glad to see storyline development in Forbidden Door, that it's not its own thing that doesn't necessarily have any ramifications into the world of AEW character development. So we got some of that right here.
Yeah, and Taz was on commentary. Hook doesn't talk much, so hopefully Hollywood Jack Perry will do most of the talking for the guys and just let Hook come out and do his thing and let them, brawl back and forth. A 5-on-5 grudge match. This had the makings of a hot mess, but it wasn't as bad as it could have been. It's the Blackpool Combat Club with the Ring of Honor World Champion Claudio Castagnoli, John Moxley, and Wheeler Yuta, who are a very solid trio. They also had Takeshita and Umino. They took on the Elite, Hangman Adam Page, Matt and Nick Jackson, Eddie Kingston, and Tomohiro Ishii. Now, again, this could have been a really hot mess. The match was better than I thought it would be, and the Elite is the winners. Eddie Kingston is the real story coming out of this because he's conflicted because him and Moxley are supposed to have this big friendship. Matthew.
Yeah, no, I think there's definitely something to explore here with a more prominent Eddie Kingston storyline. And I think if I recall correctly, we had some blood in this match. I would imagine, seems like it's been a little while.
Wait, blood in a Moxley match?
I think Moxley bled, didn't he?
Linda K, I'd like to hear your thoughts on this one as well. Eddie Kingston doesn't have the prototypical look, style, presentation, but Eddie Kingston is an absolute star.
Yeah, I didn't think about it until this second. Let's have him join the Blackpool Combat Club. They have that street fight mentality, that brawler style that they may not have necessarily currently in the BCC. Let it build. That you think it's going to be Mox and Kingston. Well, I mean, I feel like that could be what the match could be. I'm thinking already ahead at All In.
Yeah.
Or it could be another tag type match, and then it turns to BCC.
Yep. AEW Women's Championship match. It was Toni Storm with her Outcast mates Saraya and Ruby Soho. She took on the New Japan Pro Wrestling Women's Champion Willow Nightingale. Willow Nightingale's got a rocket on her. I mean, she is exploding in the scene. She's obviously the New Japan Strong Women's Champion, and she's prominently featured at AEW. She does not win this match. Toni Storm retains the AEW Championship. Linda, the women's division at AEW is still very strong, pun intended.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen it, big fan favorite, and it's like any challenge in her way. I mean, she may not have won this match, but I don't know. I wouldn't rule it out of her picture anytime soon. It seems like there's a lot of different championships being held at AEW. I can see her being a dual straps champion.
Yep. International Wrestling Grand Prix United States champion Kenny Omega comes out solo, and he takes on a recent pickup to the team they call Meatheads, Will Ospreay. He's flanked by Don Callis and military-grade security guards. Matthew Thomas, it was Omega and Ospreay for the United States Heavyweight Championship match from the IWGP. This match was probably one of my favorite matches in a long time. I have to call out the common sense of the rules, though. Matthew, if Don Callis is ejected from ringside
Oh yeah.
and then shows up again, the commentary did try to cover them and say if Don doesn't keep it, keep himself out of the way, he could get Ospreay disqualified. They didn't do anything. He literally physically touched a competitor. That really kind of bothered me.
But I think you really, to their point, I think you've really gotten into a loophole in professional wrestling storytelling. Yeah, it's a nice little moment when you eject somebody where the ref does the spin and kicks somebody out. But
Aubrey even gives it the flip flop, and
you're taking them at face value that's it. There's never really been discussions on the repercussions if somebody does come out. So yeah, I get where it was a little bit of a, it didn't make a ton of sense, but at the same time, in our world of professional wrestling, we do not have the ramifications. It's not as simple as, hey, you hit somebody with a chair in front of the ref, you're disqualified. We really haven't elaborated on this. We've taken it at face value that, these heels are going to stick to their word. I don't think it was necessary. I don't think it really added anything to the match. But at the same time, this was, an outstanding AEW match here.
The winner and new champion, Will Ospreay, picked up by the team they call Meatheads. That's a title win on a pay-per-view. Big time points, Daddy, for that PWR Fantasy Draft. Your thoughts on the match?
I mentioned it earlier. I mean, I could watch it again and again. I really.
It's got rewatchability. Yeah.
Yeah, I've definitely become more of a fan of Will Ospreay. Ever since last year's Forbidden Door as well. And I know obviously a lot of things, like he's done a lot of work in Japan, but again, I'm not as familiar with it, so I am more now just from being exposed to it more, and I enjoy it.
Will Ospreay exposed himself to us. There you go.
Yeah.
I mean, he didn't, but yes, we were exposed to Will Ospreay. Yeah. Linda, your thoughts on this match? Yes, it was probably fun to have this happen, but I thought it was a hot, sloppy mess. Darby, Sting, and Naito took on Lasuki gods, the Ocho Chris Jericho, Minoru Suzuki, and Sammy Guevara. I didn't get this match at all.
You've got the legends in there. You just gotta take it, embrace it. You get more Sting versus Jericho, and But I mean, just the antics. I don't know. It's one of those where it's got some star quality in that match, and I'm gonna watch it regardless. And it's so they say what's the term after
the popcorn match
cleanser after like the previous match into the main. So
it was definitely a palate cleanser. Yeah. Matthew, real quick thoughts on that match before we get into the main event.
Yeah, I'm seeing some Sting spots now, not just on this match, but last week on Dynamite as well too. That's starting to scare me, man. Sting, we're having some high spots with Sting that I don't necessarily think are necessary, especially after we had that scare back almost a decade ago with Seth Rollins. We're having pretty scary Sting spots now that, it gets a pop, but it's just, I don't necessarily see the point in it.
And him being teamed up with Darby, it's like if Darby's the one already doing the crazy stuff, I think it's totally fine to keep it doing the crazy stuff because he wants to do that. He doesn't want to do these.
And Darby is so fast and so just not reckless because he's under control in his own world. But Darby is so fast, the camera can't keep up with him. They're watching a Sting spot, and there goes Darby shooting like a bullet through the other side, doing tope suicida through the ropes. By the way, they don't say that anymore. AEW did hear us. They stopped saying that so much. Tope suicido.
I didn't realize that till you said that just now. Yeah. I don't
it's
anymore.
Thank
Or are they
God.
just not doing it as much anymore, and we just don't.
They're not doing it as much anymore. They have redesigned the ringside area though, especially with Collision. Notice that the commentary table is at ringside now, and the area is spread out a little bit more. They got a lot more working room around the ring. And the even though it's just a rubber coating over the rails, but there is a coating around the ringside area now. So remember, we always joke that anything that's happening, don't put your beer down because you're going to lose your beer because if it's at your feet, those things are being moved. So.
Or you can lose your nuts too.
Right. Exactly. All right, let's talk main event. American Dragon, Bryan Danielson, and the Rainmaker, Okada. I've always been an Okada fan in the 4 matches that I've seen him in, but Okada, just like Will Ospreay, just like some of these other guys that we're seeing for the first time, they are absolute stars. Dragon got hurt. Apparently, he's going to be out until the pay-per-view in late August. But Linda, we'll start with you. American Dragon, Bryan Danielson, and Okada.
I mean, the man forward with the broken arm for part of the match. No, definitely built up hype, and it was definitely meeting what we were expecting. It sucks that Daniel Bryan's being on, because I'm just wondering, like, I know he hasn't been wrestling as much lately, but maybe this was the introduction to get him wrestling a bit more, because he still is. They haven't really established like the said leader of the BCC, right? Am I wrong?
I don't know that there is a leader unless it's Don Callis.
I don't think he's still officially like in it. He's an affiliate, I believe. But you have Daniel Bryan. I feel like being the main talker. It could be Mox, but I feel like it's been Daniel Bryan. But anyway,
Mox is the lead fighter. Danielson's the lead talker.
Yes. Okay. That sounds accurate with that. So that being said, I knew this was a match everyone was waiting for. I think it was a great way to close it out. Unfortunately, Daniel Bryan is injured, but he'll be back, you said, for All In, and I imagine it's going to be another huge match.
Yeah. Tough spot for me, and you guys know on occasion when the pay-per-views are on Sundays, I got no volume. I only got to watch and read closed captioning. So, I had that TV for monitoring picture quality, but I got to see the whole thing live. Matthew Thomas, main event, Danielson, Okada, your thoughts?
Yeah, no, it was going to be hard to live up to, that
Osprey and Omega.
Yeah, but this was a different style of match, and I think it delivered.
Absolutely. I think Forbidden Door delivered. You know what? I struggle again. I've said this. I've been pounding the desk on this over and over. I struggle with not knowing who half of the talents in here are. We're two excuse me. We're 2 Forbidden Doors in. I know who Okada now is. I know who Tanahashi is. I know who, Zack Sabre Jr. is. I know who Osprey is. Yes, those are the ones that I like now. But the rest of them, Minoru Suzuki, I know that's the dude that has the weird haircut. I know that the other guy is like a little pit bull. That's it. I mean, that's all I know about these talents. So you really want me to invest? I need to see more of them, because I shouldn't have to go doing the work. If you want to sell me a show, I shouldn't have to do the work to go find out what the rest of them are doing. We've talked of Forbidden Door. We're not really going to get into too much of the TV shows this week. We're going to go right into Money in the Bank, which happened this last Saturday. It was 3 Eastern, 2 Central here in the States, because it was live from London. I'm not a fan, Linda and Matthew, of the set design, but I understand why. Do you guys know why the set design looked the way it did at the O2 Arena, with no big stage, no big, ramp or whatever? They sold that whole building.
That's
so they cut.
Yeah.
They cut out the set because they sold more seats, because they packed that building, and they only have that little walk-in. It doesn't work again. I've joked about Io Sky and the drunken walk that she does. It works when she's on a stage and on a set. She only has to do it for about 5-6 steps, but she has to do that long drunken walk that she does. Doesn't work for me. Let's go down the results. And Money in the Bank was a huge, huge night for a couple talents. First off, the men's Money in the Bank kicked it off, Matthew, and a member of the team they call Meatheads has won the Money in the Bank. We all thought, and the crowd thought, it'd be L.A. Knight. Yeah! He was the fan favorite, but he was not the winner. Damian Priest is Senior Money in the Bank. Matthew.
Yeah, and here's the thing. As much as people wanted that, myself included, I think they did a really good job of not tipping their hat and making this too predictable. Both Money in the Banks could have gone a handful of ways, and that's not always been WWE booking in past years. So I think it was an incredible match, and it was a great surprise finish. And something I watched with Money in the Bank.
And they took LA Knight to the end, because it came off at the end. So,
and they did a pretty decent job with not going to the old formula of everybody dies except for 2 people in the ring that take their turn to try to climb the ladder. It was the psychology in this was pretty solid. I mean, you had some traditional Money in the Bank spots, but I think overall it was a really solid match with an unpredictable finish.
And a nasty spot, Linda. It was Logan Paul and Ricochet through the tables outside. That didn't look right at all.
Yeah, hopefully all doing all right. I mean, we know Ricochet does a lot of high flying stuff and
Logan Paul's
crazy
willing to do stuff.
Right.
He's willing to work. So.
All right. But I'll just add on to Damian Priest being the winner. We've kind of talked about this from the last pay-per-view, how Damian Priest was the only one at Mania from Judgment Day who didn't get a match, but yet
Right.
he got to have that huge match with Bad Bunny in Puerto Rico, and then now he's Senor.
Senor, yeah. Senor Money in the Bank.
I was trying to say Money in the Bank in Spanish, and I was just like, I know some of the words, but I'm not going to mess that up. So Senor Money in the Bank. I think
Senor Mula, El Banco.
It was a huge surprise, but
Mr.
I'm
Mano.
a fan of Judgment Day and fan of Damian Priest, so who knows?
So, booking of the Judgment Day, I mean, let's think about it. When it started, it was still, and again, not to, just keep dumping on Vince McMahon, but booking of the Judgment Day was McMahon era stuff. Edge was Judgment Day. Edge gets kicked out. It becomes, Finn, Damian, Dirty Dom, and Rhea. And for a while, we got nothing. But now the Triple H era, I guess, Judgment Day is a formidable group.
Absolutely.
All right, so Damian Priest wins. I mean, defeating Logan Paul, Shinsuke Nakamura, Ricochet, Santos Escobar, Butch, and LA Knight. They looked amazing. So let's move on to the next match, and this was a bit of a shocker. There's a little bit of news to come out of this as well. The Women's Tag Team Championships. We thought, and Matthew thought, as far as Team Fearboner, that he had a team that he was going to ride with a bunch of pay-per-view title defenses. Not so much, my friend. The winners and new women's tag team champions, Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez, defeating Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler. Shayna Baszler attacks Ronda Rousey. That team is done. As we saw on Raw just last night, Shayna Baszler, I think, is the heel in this particular section, because Ronda Rousey, the news is Ronda Rousey has given WWE a hard day out, as in she is done with wrestling, done with the company. So it looks like they're fast-tracking, Matthew, a match between Ronda and Shayna at SummerSlam. By the way, SummerSlam will be the first pay-per-view or premium live event on American soil since WrestleMania.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's you're right. But here's the thing, and this is not the way I envision the tag team going, but you're going to split them up. Shayna's going to get the pivotal win over Ronda to get the rub, and this is going to throw Shayna into the stratosphere of the women's division. So I might have a Shayna Baszler title win, before the year's out.
It's quite possible. So, new women's tag team champions, the women that never actually lost their belts because they had to be stripped of the belts when Liv got hurt, but back as women's champions again. Liv Morgan, Raquel Rodriguez. Linda, thoughts on the match?
Huge surprise. I was loving Ronda and Shayna together, but if this is a way to get the split and before Ronda does leave WWE, then it was the time to do it.
Yeah, like I said, she says she's got a hard out date, so cool. Let's get to business. We're in the movie and it's the last season of the TV show or whatever you want to call it. We got to wrap things up. We got to put buttons on them. Let's talk about the Intercontinental Championship match. It was Gunther taking on Matt Riddle. Love the braids. Matt Riddle coming out to fight. I actually like that. I mean, to me, it looks goofy when a white guy has cornrows in, but it looks right because he's out there to fight. He's got his hair out of the way. So a solid match. Gunther was not losing this match, but a surprise. And a guy that I've kept on my roster wondering what's going to happen next. Drew McIntyre returns, and he kicks the face off of Gunther. Linda.
Huge return. It's great to see Drew McIntyre back. I was not expecting this. I didn't even think about that being at Money in the Bank that we would see Drew.
I did because it was European. I knew.
Yeah. No, great surprise. And this is a great feud between the two of them if this does start. I do have Gunther.
Gunther, you have all of Imperium, actually.
That too, but yes, getting that title win.
You got more points for the Gunther title defense than you would have got for Butch. If any of the guys would have been in Money in the Bank. So, no, good points for you.
Yeah, but no, I guess, oh man, if someone's going to take that Intercontinental title, I guess it's got to be Drew eventually.
I think so as well.
But I think all of us agree we still want that huge WrestleMania moment for Drew at some point.
Yeah.
Big fan of his as well. You know, he's not on Team Long Time right now, but great fan or big fan of Mcintyre as well.
Matthew Thomas, Gunther retains, got his face kicked off by Drew McIntyre.
Yeah, this is going to be an interesting feud. I mean, if there's anybody that's been a viable threat to that IC title, I think you've got him in McIntyre. And what McIntyre reminded me of when he came back the other day was the McIntyre who won the Rumble in 2020. Like that, you know, we didn't see any crazy gimmick. He didn't have his sword with him. You know, he was there for business, and he
wasn't cutting ropes. He wasn't doing any of that other nonsense.
Yeah, so I think if you can kind of recapture that McIntyre, you've got something. And maybe that IC title, I mean, maybe this is the feud that gets him back there.
And then the following match, you know, we talked about Judgment Day just a moment ago, how strong they were. All of Judgment Day, the men's side, had matches. The next match was Cody Rhodes taking on Dirty Dom, Prison Dom, who's got people hanging on to his pockets. Dominic Mysterio, Cody Rhodes, Matthew Thomas. Now, Dominic didn't get the win, but that doesn't mean he's not over, and that doesn't mean that he's not working his ass off. You know, there was a point where Dominic only worked with Seth Rollins. Literally, that was the only matches that he had, and Buddy Matthews. Now he works with anybody and everybody, and he is getting over.
Yeah, and I mean, he elicits probably the most vocal response of anybody on that WWE roster at this point. And just what a great story. I mean, what a great character arc they've had with Dominic. And I mean, you really have to throw a lot of it back to when he did Hard Time. You know, like that was such and in a lot of ways, it could have just been like a throwaway WWE.com extra over Thanksgiving.
It's not. That's his character.
They ran with it. And I mean, it's amazing what a small little thing like that could do to just kind of springboard this character. And I mean, I think, yeah, he references Ray, but like the first thing that you think when you see Dominic now is not Ray anymore. You know, he's really
him and Rhea. You see Mommy. Yeah.
He's really coming to his own. I mean, this has just been an outstanding job they've done here.
Well,
I was thinking about the WrestleMania entrance too. Remember the police brought him in like that.
Yeah. Well, Linda, I was going to say, you know, before we couldn't see Dominic Mysterio. You know, we couldn't see him at all. But the guy we did see is Linda K's favorite, John Cena.
Yes. What a pop. That was awesome. We know the international crowds love to sing the songs too. I'm sure there were probably some John Cena sucks chants. I was listening intently at that, but more of them were singing the actual song, which we don't really hear so much. You hear more of John Cena sucks, which obviously it's like obviously a good thing with hearing that and chanting that. But that was huge. One thing I'll say though, it's having Grayson Waller come out, and I didn't realize at first that he broke.
The company loves Grayson Waller because if you look at the company putting Grayson Waller, he's at the top of the hour anytime there's a segment with him.
Well, yeah, for sure. And him being brought on in the main show, I didn't realize that he had, I believe it was a broken leg, nursing the injury, trying to recover from that. I loved him on NXT, but putting him with Cena, obviously getting that rub, kind of made me think about Cena Theory, not the same exact scenario.
Cena crushed Theory. Where is Austin Theory? He crushed him.
I'm not sure either, but Cena, and of course, like the hints of WrestleMania, perhaps 41 days. I don't think it's been announced where after Philly next year.
I don't think so either. Here's the thing. Europe is hot right now. I mean, they did pretty good at Clash at the Castle. AEW just showed that London is willing to buy tickets to AEW because All In is over 65,000 sold already. And again, we talked on this program. I said 45,000, put the ring in the center, at the midfield stripe and just build it around, and that should be great. The place will be packed. I mean, they honestly could sell another 20,000, and that ring could even go back farther, and the stage could go back farther. So I don't know if they plan on building a big stage or what it is. So WWE seeing this, they're going to throw everything they got at it as well. It's like, wow, we could really do this. We could sell 2 nights at whatever. We got to throw John Cena at this. John, we need you. And that's what happened. I mean, he did that drop. He goes, I'm here to sell WrestleMania. So, wow. Unbelievable. Well, we can definitely see him. And what we did see as well was the women's Money in the Bank ladder match. Did you see Io Sky, Linda, being the Miss Money in the Bank?
I saw her as a potential winner, but as you know, I did make a last minute move before the pay-per-view. I mean, I just put some strategy into play, literally stratus. Wait,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah,
So
we got you.
I made a drop. I picked up Trish. I was thinking she was potentially going to be the winner. I felt it was going to go that way. I know I may have said Zoe Stark, but that was before Trish was in the match. I'm like, okay, she's got Zoe in there with her. It didn't happen. That's okay. I think Aew Sky is great. She's getting, you know, like she was always a popular talent in NXT, but since coming up, that response that we heard in Puerto Rico, I think really helped push even more. Again, like how we just talked about Forbidden Door, and you're hearing the crowd really cheering for somebody, it kind of makes you automatically want to do that too. And I love her. I think Aew Sky is great. Crowd seemed happy as well.
Matthew, Aew Sky is the women's Money in the Bank winner, and she did it by handcuffing Becky and Bayley underneath the ladder and climbing over the top of them. But, you know, you don't want to piss off Zelina Vega because she might hit you with a flip-flop.
Yeah, exactly. Another really unpredictable.
And she doesn't wear flip-flops to the ring, does she? Where the hell did she get the flip-flop?
It's stuck right here in the waistband.
Wow.
You need to incorporate that, Meathead. Just have a random flip-flop stuck in your waistband.
I mean, I've got a lot of stuff stuffed in my pants. Right.
It's there.
Matthew, thoughts on the match?
No, really, really solid match. And again, it could have gone anyway. And I give WWE credit for you had 2 Money in the Bank winners that were not easy to call, and 2 Money in the Bank winners where this can really be a big springboard for them. You know, Damian Priest, outside of the match he's had with Seth Rollins, he really hasn't hung around that championship picture. You know, and the same thing here, you know, with Aew. So, like, I think this is kind of going back to that Money in the Bank formula where you really use it to potentially elevate somebody, as opposed to somebody like a Becky Lynch or a Bayley winning an already established talent. So I like the direction they decided to go here.
Again, another member of the Judgment Day on the pay-per-view or on the premium live event, but does not win. World champion Seth frickin' Rollins defeats Finn Balor. And you know what? I like the energy and the aggression that we get out of Finn Balor. He wasn't going to win this match. Seth Rollins was going to win it. Linda, Matthew, I think you both agree on this. Let's go right to the main event. It was the Bloodline Civil War. They put this tagline on it way too late for me. I think the tagline should have been on there beforehand. They should have built this up a little bit longer. But it was the Usos taking on Solo Sikoa and Roman Reigns. Matthew, we'll start with you. Thoughts on the match? Thoughts on the story that we're getting out of it?
Oh yeah, no, they keep topping themselves with this whole Bloodline deal, and this was going to be the next chapter. And you're watching these matches now, not necessarily. You're watching them like cinema, and you know, this is the next act in the Bloodline story, as opposed to being overly concerned with the outcome. But my goodness, what a great job they did in every single package to reiterate the fact that Roman had not been beaten since 2019. They made sure you knew that. They made sure the stakes were, this is one of those.
That's all Michael Cole right there.
Yeah. And talk about what can happen when you protect somebody. I don't know the last time WWE protected somebody for 3.5 years like they've done Roman Reigns.
They have definitely done that. Linda Kay, Roman Reigns suffers a pinfall to Jey Uso, which means to me that SummerSlam on American soil, because remember, we had Backlash in Puerto Rico, we had Night of Champions in Abu Dhabi, and we had Money in the Bank in London. We're going to be going to Detroit, Rock City, and the Motor City SummerSlam. I think it's Jey Uso and Roman Reigns.
It's looking that way for sure. And the unique thing about that is that something else can come out of that storyline. Right. Maybe then Jimmy turns on Jey and he's the one that's now accepted.
Or Solo turns on Roman and then they all go together and now they're the trio of the Usos leaving Roman alone.
Yeah. That could be it as well. But just thinking long and hard about it. It is crazy.
Long and hard.
I do believe. I'm sorry?
Long and hard. Go ahead.
Yes. As we've seen on recent WB television, Baron Corbin, remember the last to pin Roman Reigns, he's been letting.
Was there dog food involved in that?
No, I can't recall.
Yeah.
I want him to bring that back up, and I want us to have Roman, Jey, and Baron Corbin triple threat. Oh yeah.
Possibly that can happen again. But you have Roman Reigns getting pinned for the first time in 3 years. However, remember, it was a tag team match. If this was a one-on-one match, could that have happened?
And that's why we can use that to build us up to SummerSlam.
Yeah.
I really do think that Solo is the next piece to fall off because they've fallen one at a time. Sammy, then a Uso, then another Uso. I think Solo's next, leaving Roman by himself, and that's how Roman loses the belt.
Maybe
So
let me throw this out there, because the concern is, as big of a move as this was for Jay, I just don't know that you're going to have the investment and the believability of people thinking that Jay is going to take that title off of Roman.
Remember, Jay did have a match already with Roman in Roman's beginning of his run.
Yeah, he did. What I would be more interested in between now and SummerSlam is seeing this thing further evolve, seeing Solo fall off, and us having a Bloodline fatal four-way for the title. Okay. Each man for themselves.
Okay. WrestleMania 2000 style. Big Show, Triple H, Mankind, and who was it? It was a McMahon in every corner. It was 4 of them. Triple H, Big Show. Oh, The Rock was the other one as well. So WrestleMania 2000. That was right after Rock had just debuted on Saturday Night Live. Let's talk about the PWR Fantasy Draft. There's been a lot of movement. Matthew, none of it's come from you. So let's talk about Team Fear Boners, how they're in last. Let's talk about Linda Kay, how she's in first with Team Long Time. Let's talk about the reigning and defending team they call Meatheads, making the moves and moving up. First off, AEW Forbidden Door. Matthew, take a guess at how many points you got.
Oh, yeah, that's right, because Cole was not on there. Yeah, 0.
Baby, he got 0. Linda Kay, you had 345 points for your AEW pay-per-view. Very solid outing. The man they call Meathead with the title win, 535. Now, let's get to Money in the Bank. Matthew Thomas, 205 points. Linda Kay, 240 points winning the pay-per-view. And I had 165 with Senior Money in the Bank, Damian Priest. The new totals brought to you by the accounting firm of Dewey, Cheatham & Howe. Linda Kay, Team Long Time, they lead, 1,315 points. In second place, but close it in, Linda, 1,145 points. And somewhere in the back, the Fear Boners, 870 points. Thoughts? Opinions? Matthew, are you going to do anything to try to catch up this year? Matthew, you've struggled the last 2 years. And the odd thing is, you've won Royal Rumbles, you've won Money in the Banks, and have shit the bed the rest of the season. What's going on with the Fear Boners?
I need this company that does these calculations. I need them audited is what I need. So
what you need to do is make some better moves, because you've even traded away your naming rights and it's not working.
That's what I'm gonna do. Maybe I'll draft IRS or something to see.
Yes.
Audit Dewey, Cheatham & Howe.
Yeah. I think that's gonna be the next big. That's gonna be the next big scandal.
Linda Kay, you lead. You are the Mrs. PWR Fantasy Draft. You're in the lead. How does it feel?
It feels tremendous. And you know what? The next pay-per-view, guess who's got the NXT champion?
You have the NXT champion. That's right. Because he's money and he never misses.
Mm-hmm. He is him.
He is him. I don't know if we're doing pronouns now in this show. I'm the man they call Meathead. You're Linda Kay, and Matthew Thomas is the Team Fear Boners. Thank you guys for dropping by on the 4th of July. America. Written by your guys out in Denver, Colorado there, or South Park, wherever you want to call it.
Yeah.
But,
they're a restaurant.